Game week 1 is locked up. Hopefully you guys were all above average. Game week 2 is coming. We've had price drops. We've had players leaving. Let's have a look at our game week 2 teams. Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. My name's Adam, and as always, I'm joined by Baker. Evening, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's my turn for on the road today. So I'm at the in-laws for the week. I've got that standard thing of the second you take a week off, you immediately get a cold.
Yeah.
Why does it do that? Why does your body just go stuff that? I'm getting a cold straight away. So I'm fighting that off. But yeah, at the in-laws, hence surroundings, borrowing their computer, and 1 week in the bank.
1 week in the bank, definitely. And so what we do on a Thursday, for anyone or doesn't know, we're recording on Wednesday night, just so everyone's aware, is we basically go through our team selection for the next game week. I think for the early part of this season, there's going to be a lot of, being comfortable with the picks that we've already made and just basically trying to negotiate what sort of rotation we're going to do maybe. And it's, I guess, focus on captaincy picks, but we'll go through a couple of graphics, fixture tickers, and some expected data for the week, and then we'll run through our teams, and then we'll get out of here and let you get on with your day. So, are you feeling good after game week 1, mate?
I feel like we've got through game week 1, so I think I finished 65 points, something like that. You know, it's a disappointment at the end for us being Spurs fans with Monday night. That was not. It was fine for 60 odd minutes. It was lovely. We watched some lovely football. I was like, oh, this is second season Ange. I could really feel it. But Solanke just wasn't able to put the ball in the net. Some interesting stuff that definitely looked like he was really trying hard to hit the target. And we've talked about the fact that he often didn't hit the target last season. So let's see how all of it. Let's see how it rolls out after a couple of weeks. Like, I don't think we should make huge changes unless we have to. But hey, there's a lot of people already that now have to. You know, Kwanzaa. We've seen that first thing, haven't we, where someone relatively well owned is suddenly dropping in price, and people have a decision to make. And what's been really interesting is in previous seasons, everyone just made it, and now there's a carrot that says if you can hold transfers, you'll get more reward from doing it. It's changed absolutely nothing. Everyone just did it.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, that's true. Loads of people did it. I know that I think Andy made a move. I think Holly made a move. Yeah, I think I would have done the same thing. And I know a few people, there were people asking in our Discord last night, like, should I make this move? And I was thinking, well, the way I would play it is probably I would, because cool, fine, you're going to be a transfer behind. You still have the opportunity to get, build those transfers up. Earlier on in the season, you've got just more time to build those transfers back up again, and you've dealt with the problem. You've dealt with the problem who's clearly going to be a minutes risk, because Slot's not going to sit around and go, oh, everything's fine, I will keep these players on. He's going to make a decision when things aren't quite going right. So,
and you have to either be like really resilient, because if you pick up, let's just say this weekend, if you had Kwanzaa, there's people out there that got Kwanzaa and their two bench defenders are Konza and Barco.
Yeah.
Well, Barco's now non-event, and Konza you don't want to play because he's got Arsenal.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a little bit of, well, why did you put Konza in my team? Well, I put Konza in my team because he's good from game week 3 onwards. And I'm like, well, why are you now making a move this week? Because you're actually creating trouble for yourself. Like, I do think there is a part where if I'd picked a defender like, for example, a Konza for game week 3, game week 4, I don't think I would have made the Kwanzaa move.
Yeah.
Because we don't know enough. Like, I mean, but what I'm saying is, the second there's a price drop, it's such a big decision, because if he goes to 4.4, what do you do?
Yeah. I mean,
and obviously, Pedro Porro has not helped that, because as it stands, we don't know what the situation is. Like, it's very interesting that Porro is he's active on social media. He's tweeting, he's Instaing. Do you know what I mean? He's replying to Spurs and that stuff. And you're like, does that mean he's okay? Like, like to think that means he's okay, but we don't know he's okay.
I think he'll be fine. I
So
mean, I think he'll be fine. Hopefully, anyway.
Spurs assets, just because we didn't cover it this weekend. What would you do if you had Son?
I think this week I'd hold Son. I mean, look at Everton's right back situation. Like, it's Ashley Young gets sent off, and they've got Mason Holgate or something like that playing right
Yeah,
back. It's still an opportunity. It's still a good fixture for Son. He's still a great player. Look, he had a couple of bad touches, but still, he still could have had he could have had assists on Monday, definitely. And yeah, cool. He only had one shot, and you tweeted out that bloody video of him with like the worst touch you've ever seen. But he's still Son. He's still Son at the end of the day,
yeah,
and we've seen already we're going to create chances. We could have blown Leicester away in the first half, but we just didn't create enough high quality chances to make that happen.
yeah,
Maybe a couple. So I think Son's perfectly fine for this week. And there's an easy exit route, right? There's an easy exit route on Son in game week 3. You've got Saka sitting there with a nice little home game. Or if you can find a couple of million, if you're sitting on Haaland and Son, for example, then you've got an easy move that you could drop Haaland down to Watkins, and then you can move Son to Salah, right? There's definitely exit points. If you don't have
yeah.
Trent, for example, if you've got Kwanzaa, for example, and you want to get up to Trent, there's definitely ways to get out of Son, but game week 2 against Everton is not one for me.
It's not. We have got to be quite precious in transfers. I've started to think about a bit more about these wildcard windows and stuff, and I think if you're using transfers, I really wouldn't want to be using transfers and be looking to play wildcard in game week 4.
Yeah.
So I think the second you use, because if you use your transfers now and then you wildcard, and then what happens is there's people that you're then fighting that have transfers in the bank and a wildcard. You can't fight them because they're going to then wildcard ahead of you, so they're ahead of you in the game, but they've also got more transfers in the bank. It's a really dodgy situation. I actually think a little bit, if you think that you're really itching to make transfers because you made a lot of mistakes, start thinking about walking away from the game for 2 weeks. Just pick your captain, hope for the best for 2 weeks, and then wildcard in game week 4 and get it done. And then at least have transfers in the bank to fight the people that do it after.
You're not going to be too far behind, I don't think, because those that have picked Salah at the start, right? Generally speaking, have had a really good week this week. So you're already ahead. If you've picked
Yeah.
Haaland, you've got this week coming up. If you pick both, then obviously you've got the best of both worlds. But you will have had a good start in some way, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any like you say. There's no rush to do that. I think praying patience is probably a good plan.
And I think, one of the easiest ways I think to try and get yourself to hold is go to your mini leagues that you're planning. Go to your mini leagues and look at the people that are around you in your mini leagues, or even just around you in the overall rank, right? And look at some of those teams. They're not perfect teams. Like, we get so twitchy the second our team doesn't look perfect, but there's plenty of teams around you that have done really, really well that probably aren't working quite as hard as you are.
Yeah, yeah.
On this. Do you know what I mean? Because something's happened that's given them some points, or they've lucked into something or other. Like, those things do happen at this time of the season, and therefore your team's not terrible. We think it's terrible because we see so many teams on Twitter and always match ourselves up against it. Well, that person's got that and I haven't got that, so I must have this and do all of this stuff. But realistically, most teams around 65 points, for example, this week, a lot of them have just got some good players, some not so good players, some okay stuff, some not okay stuff. There's loads of people around me that have got Watkins, for example. I bet they're not selling Watkins this week. Well, there are some selling Watkins this week. Actually, it's interesting, but you'd be well disappointed. I've just literally looked at one of my mini leagues, and same points as me is a person that started Konza, has Odegaard, obviously, that didn't return, has Palmer, that was playing a lot wider than expected, that blanked, has a front three of Watkins, João Pedro, and Muniz. But why has he got the same points as me? Because he capped Salah.
Yeah. Yeah,
because he kept Salah. That's literally all you need to do. So, like, maybe even if your team's not perfect this week, but you get on the right end of Salah versus Haaland this week, and that's enough.
maybe that's enough. Yeah. No, you just made me look as well, and I'm level with a guy who's got Romero, Foden, Luis Diaz, Mateta.
See, do you know what I mean? It's
Captain
still
Salah.
so volatile. It's still so volatile, and a captain can play a really big deal. Like, we can chill out a bit, I think.
I agree. I agree. So let's have a look at the fixtures for we'll go straight to Rob T for the ticker for game week 2. And so we're looking at basically the expected goals based on the spread X data. I'm looking extremely red at the moment, so I apologize for that, but I will we'll sort that out next time. Big standouts here are good teams have good chances of scoring high amounts of goals. I think it's pretty much what we see here. City 3.3 expected goals. I doubt you'll see many higher than that all season.
No.
With a 55% chance of a clean. Spurs 2.35, 36% chance of a clean. Liverpool 2.95 with a 40% chance of a clean. Other notable ones being Fulham at home to Leicester with a 34% chance of a clean, which is it's interesting, really interesting. And then Arsenal 32%. I mean, I won't talk about Chelsea because no one's got any defenders from Chelsea really. So yeah, all kind of interesting here. Obviously, City being the big fixture.
I mean, just one thing I would say is Arsenal 32% chance of a clean away at Villa is higher than I would have expected it to have been. I'd expected that to have been like 20% or so.
Yeah,
But it's pretty big. It's pretty big for it. I think a lot of people were looking at benching Arsenal defenders this week, and I still get it because if you've got a Fulham, a City, a Tottenham, or a Liverpool defender, it makes sense.
yeah.
But I'm not sure it makes a huge amount of sense for many other defenders that you could have this week. Um, I'm not sure there's really the upside. Probably Munoz is probably the only other guy that I think would be a question mark on whether you would bench an Arsenal defender for them. With Palace with a 28% chance of a clean at home to West Ham with a threat of attacking returns. He's one where it'd be a really tight decision for me. But I think other than that, I've got Lewis Hall and I've got Gabriel, for example. And Newcastle at Bournemouth, you'd think would be a better fixture than Arsenal at Villa. It's not how the bookies see it, and it's kind of not how I see it.
Yeah.
Lewis Hall's firmly sitting on my bench. Um, I think my other big takeaway on this was that I think this has really been built up as this is the week that Haaland Kappas win. 2.95 expected goals for Liverpool is literally one of the top 10s of the season.
Yeah. I still think so. So on that point though, I still think there's more opportunity for returns to be split around the Liverpool attack. Didn't I not say that last week? I think I said that last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
There's more opportunity for it to be split around the Liverpool attack versus the City attack. I think. I mean, I know obviously Kovacic scores last week. I mean, I'd probably argue that Chelsea are a better side than Ipswich, especially at home versus Ipswich away. But I don't think there's going to be too much debate on that. But we'll see. As as we saw from the first half hour of Ipswich last week. I mean, I don't even know how they're going to set up. I mean, there was even an article. I think John McKenzie did some work on how Chelsea set up against City this week, right? And they set up in this 4-2-4 that caused them issues, created them problems. And how did Ipswich set up against Liverpool? 4-2-4. So maybe the players are of a lower quality. I mean, I feel harsh saying that about Ipswich players, but they are. They were pretty
They are
effective in
playing
that
Man
first
City,
half,
mate.
and they're
They are
playing Man
playing Man
City.
City. Yeah.
As much as people say, "Oh, Ipswich are going to surprise a few people," like it's Premier League champions versus promoted side, like at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, let's not dumb down the fixture for Haaland, but I think in my head when you're like doing the Haaland or Salah selection. It's like Haaland's going to get a 20-pointer this week and Mo's going to get a 2.
Yeah.
It could easily be the other way around. It could be.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be. It can be at any given week, can't it? But when both teams are expected 3, the likelihood is both walk away with about 10 points.
Yeah.
Expected points for these games for both these players will be about 8 points.
Yeah, I think Haaland was slightly higher in review pre-season. I think he was on about 9.7. Yeah, but it's like 9.7 versus 8. So it's not far.
They're good games. So when you hear, people that have just got Salah go, "Oh, I'm so scared." Are you? They're not scared.
No.
They've played that out in our head because when I started telling you then that Salah was going to do okay, I could see it in your head. You were like, "That's not how it's played out in my head."
Not in my head. That's not how I want it. No, it's definitely not how I want it.
How do you want it to be?
Oh, I want like a Haaland hat trick, please, and I want Salah to get booked and miss a penalty. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want. Yeah. So. Yeah, because I don't think I've hidden it from anyone that I've firmly got the triple captain chip on Haaland's armband at the moment, and again, I can't find a way for someone to convince me that it's not the best idea. Best chance of minutes, home fixture, promoted side, just
no replacement as well. That's one of the other bits that's changed since the start of the season. Obviously, is that Bob and Alvarez were the 2 natural people to take minutes from Haaland.
Yeah, neither of them are there.
And neither of them there. So yeah. It is as far as I know. I've sort of people were saying about maybe home to Southampton is slightly better than home to Ipswich or home to Leicester might be. Maybe this is now. You get it now. You've got the most guarantee of minutes. You know he's going to be there. You know what he's going to play.
Yeah. Maybe they are better fixtures, but maybe he's injured, or maybe he's tired, or maybe it's the week before they play Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. Like,
yeah,
this is the thing, as you say. It's now. It's in front of us. Let's go, basically.
Yeah, I don't think there's no way I would talk anybody out of doing it. I completely see it. I won't be doing it. But that's not to say that I won't be cheering on every second of every goal that's there. It's just I'll quite happily wait. I think there'll be opportunities. I'm really comfortable in that. I do actually think that if I had both Haaland and Mo, I think I would captain Mo this week. If I had both.
Interesting. What, because you feel like you're covered?
Realistically, he's going to be 150% owned or something like that this week, Haaland. You've covered 2/3 of it in the best fit possible you can. If you get lucky against the triple cappers and Mo goes off and you've capped him, like, it's such a monster win.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
But when you own both, like, they've both got great fixtures, especially because Saka's got, most people are covering that have got Haaland are trying to cover, like people like you that are trying to cover it with the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
And that includes Bruno in there, for example, or it's Saka. Well, Bruno hasn't got a brilliant fixture this week.
Yeah.
And Saka hasn't got a brilliant fixture. It's okay, but it wouldn't surprise you if Villa turned up and won that game. It's not a brilliant fixture. So Mo's got like a definite edge over them anyway. So if you offered me double Mo and Haaland versus double Haaland and Saka, I'll take the double Mo.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Like, if you've gone big and gone, do you know what? I'm going to put it all on those 2. I'd be really, really tempted to go with Mo as well. And just if it works, you've already had a really great first week. You've absolutely hammered it in 2 weeks. And if it doesn't, I don't think you're going to give a lot back to the crowd.
No, and then you're going to be ready. You're going to be ready when everyone sort of flocks over to Mo for game week 4, right? And then you're going to start getting these price rises. You're going to start
Yeah,
getting them in because I think we're going to have to start moving early in the international break to get him in.
yeah,
Whatever
we're all
happens.
going to be big on this, but Mo's going to be about 80-90% owned because everybody that's just got Mo is going to cap
You've got
Mo.
to cap him. Yeah, exactly.
So you're actually not capping Mo. You're not getting a lot out of that either.
Yeah.
So if I have both, I genuinely think I would cap Mo this week. I think it's just a good opportunity, but each to their own with it. I suspect the reason that a lot of people got both Haaland and Salah is that they wanted this. They wanted the cap on Haaland this week.
Yeah.
But I just think there's an opportunity that's potentially presenting themselves, and it could present itself again in game week 4 as well when they've both got decent games.
Yeah. Yeah. So quite a lot of people you say you got triple Newcastle, you're obviously benching Hall, still think it's a fine fixture for Gordon and Isak. Because that's one that I'm not sure about. Is like I can see obviously like Newcastle here almost 1.9 expected for the week, but if you're going to play into this home away narrative that Gordon seems to want to try and continue to fuel, then is this a fixture where maybe you could let him go for a week? As I mean, like rotate him out if you've got players like Fulham players, because some
Well,
some of us have got one. Some of us have got one Fulham player. Quite a few people will have two, just because they're cheap and the fixtures are good, and they've obviously got like the game week 2, game week 3,
yeah.
and then run from there.
So are you asking if I had Smith Rowe, would I bring him off the bench for Gordon?
Yeah, and I know the minutes obviously last week weren't great, but
Yeah,
still the opportunities there.
I don't think I would.
Okay.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I just back, you know, what Gordon's been for the last this year. Back the player, back some kind of response, albeit there's no share. But is they need to get the season going. I think Bournemouth will give them a really good fight, which means that I think that Newcastle will have to do a really good fight to get something out of this game. Yeah, I would not be surprised if it's 2-0, 2-2, sorry, type game. Sort of the bookies have it leaning that way. Um, Fulham, I still think it's the same situation, but there's many players that can return.
Yeah.
They don't score a huge number of goals, and if they only score two, who are the players that are going to score it? I've seen a lot of people looking at maybe Smith Rowe in this week. If there was anything in the next couple of days that had good affirmation about Andreas Pereira, I think I'd go there. Like the more I looked into his numbers, he played 89 minutes. That's more than Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
He took all 8 corners they had in the game. He's on penalties, and he made 6 chances, the most in the league this week. He made the most chances in the league in game week 1. Like if you think that you want to say, for example, you've got a bit nervy and Nkunku, and you think you're going to wild card early, maybe Andreas is, but there's still lots of rumours in there about maybe Saudi links and will he go somewhere and do all that space. But he's more likely to stay fit, and if he's on the pitch, he's got the pens.
Yeah, I mean, Smith Rowe does have a sense of like shiny new toy thing going on. That I think that people are seeing this, and I guess obviously trying to hope that he rekindles some kind of form that he
Yeah,
saw at Arsenal. Um,
I,
I think I'd
and I
feel
would have
more
done that.
confident in just chuck. If so, say my double up was like Muniz and Robinson. I feel like Robinson's just like a shoe in. I think you just have to get him in. I think if Anderson comes in as well, and he makes things better at the back, he's just automatic. I think if
Yeah,
you're sitting with Smith Rowe versus Muniz, like if you've got one or the other, Muniz feels a lot easier to bring in for say, well, actually depends. I guess if you're on Salah, then maybe you don't have Haaland and you've got Isak, Muniz, and Solanke. No, even that doesn't really work. Like you wouldn't play
yeah.
Muniz over Isak, would you?
No, no,
So
no.
it doesn't make any sense.
No. If you had two budgets, if you had Muniz and
And
you had Pedro,
yeah, then you'd play Muniz.
I'd play Muniz, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's where my mind was going, and then the more I thought about it, that third striker is going to be, yeah.
If you had Smith Rowe and had Chris Wood this week, which one would you play?
I mean, I'd probably play. I'd probably play. I'd probably play Chris Wood, to be honest.
No, I think I would play Smith Rowe over them. But like, it's weird, isn't it? Like, not a Forest 1.38 expected goals, but would you be surprised if 0.7 of them is one shot from Chris Wood?
No,
No.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean the narrative is he's played terrible on the weekends. And I spoke to Matt Davies, who hosts the Forest Focus pod, and he felt we did a good job. He was at the Forest Bournemouth game, so we did a good job of recording that one, which I was quite pleased about because we often get told we don't really, favour the teams outside the big six.
Yeah.
But he said he sort of agreed. Wood was pretty terrible by the one shot he had. He was a big fan of Semenyo. Liked him a lot. Yeah, it's difficult. Would I play Chris Wood or?
I mean, I don't want to draw comparisons, but I mean, we're going to talk maybe about Bumo in a minute. Maybe not for this fixture, maybe for next week. But like Bumo, terrible for long periods and then scores. Haaland, very often terrible for long periods. 15 million, we all have him. Like it's just because he's a big Kiwi and he's not like a Norwegian meat shield with long blonde hair that we just go, oh well.
Are you saying that if Chris Wood was at City, he'd score 50 goals a season?
Of course he fucking would, because no, he's not going to score 50 goals a season, but he will score. He would score double the amount of goals he scores at Forest. Any striker would. Any striker at that level would. I mean, you just score more goals because you're at City. You just would.
You would. You haven't got Nkunku.
I do not.
Obviously, there's now João Felix potentially coming in or whatever, and it gets even more ridiculous. We've got now lots of players that he's now just saying, nah, I'm done with you. I think Disasi has now decided he's done as well.
Yeah. I don't want to touch Chelsea. I hate the fact that their fixtures are so good, but I just don't want to touch them.
Yeah.
I'm really uncomfortable with it.
I think that's the right approach, but you haven't touched Chelsea. But I have, and many have with Nkunku. I think you have to let this game play out.
Yeah.
You have to assume that they won't play three central midfielders again. Don't play Enzo, Caicedo, and Lavia.
Yeah.
Which brings the opportunity for a 10, which could be Nkunku. You'd hope was Nkunku. And if he doesn't play, you make a move on Saturday.
Yeah.
But do it with 2 transfers rather than do it with 1.
Yeah.
Do it with 2 transfers, don't do it with 1. That's my feeling on this one. Is because not many people have got money sitting around, and a week makes a big difference.
It's also people are going to be moving. Some people that may have held on to a Kwanzaa, like you're going to be moving money. You're going to be moving 11 million around in 2 transfers. That's a little bit easier than trying to sort of navigate from a 4-4 down and trying to figure out what you need to do and try and really scrape the barrel. As you say, another week of information. We might have another 4-0 that comes out. Maybe.
The one thing I would say is everyone's going to say like I've just said there, don't do them. It's almost like you've got a position at this moment. I'm a guy that doesn't have Salah. I have Haaland. I think Haaland teams, you should not be moving out on Nkunku. If you've got a Salah team and a Salah team only, and you've already got Trent, so you're not going to be looking to bring in Salah or Trent in game week 4, you're a transfer up at least on me, on what I'm looking to do. So you might decide in that situation, it's okay. So if someone does make that move, like look at your team, work out who am I going to do in 2, 3, 4. At the moment, because I went Gabriel over Trent, I need I need free transfers really in the bank to get Salah in my team and get Trent in my team, because probably the best way to afford it, well, the only way to really afford that kind of thing, is to sell Haaland.
Yeah.
So I can't do it till game week 4, and I want to do all 3. Now, if I make a move this week, I immediately can't do the triple without taking a -4.
Yeah.
So I'm immediately pushing myself slightly further towards wildcard.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd like to maybe go one more week, have 2 in the bank, and then make a decision of actually, how am I going to do this move? What's it going to be? Get an extra week for it. Where's my wild card going to be? It just doesn't make sense to do it right now.
Agreed. Any other teams you want to touch on while we're here? I think we've pretty covered all the big ones. So let's get on to teams. Let's have a look at your team first. So this is your team. Very familiar team.
Very familiar team. So yeah, it'll be Henderson in goal again, which is now getting weaker. Albeit, linked to a centre back move today, but Anderson won't be there this weekend. It's not helpful.
No.
And I think he goes straight into that Fulham team, don't you? Like, he's been there before. He knows it. It's happened early enough in the week. Straight in the team.
He's got, well, yeah, when you've got Calvin Bassey, it's quite a nice, easy switch.
I heard of him saying that they think he'll play alongside Calvin Bassey.
Well,
so I think a lot of people.
Maybe you can tame him. Maybe you can tame him a little bit.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of people that think Calvin Bassey's quite the talent. I think there's a lot of FPL guys that think as much. So Porro, Anthony Robinson will come in for Hall. I've got a Hall first bench. If I had to play him over Porro, because Porro's out, I wouldn't be gutted. It's not the worst thing in the world. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And then I've got Gordon, Saka, and Kunku and Jota in the midfield. Solanke, Isak, Haaland cap. Singular cap. Well,
nice.
We always call that. We always call it singular cap, but technically it's double cap, isn't it? You can't, because it's got to be double cap to be able to then go triple cap.
Yes.
So I'm double capping.
You double capping, and then your bench, you got Sangari and Johnson and whatever.
Yeah. All good.
No drama. Okay. Well,
no
run to mine then. Nice and quick and easy. So yeah, at the moment I'm still sticking with the double Arsenal defense. So I've got Raya and Gabriel playing Trent, Porro, and bringing in Anthony Robinson. Midfield, Gordon, Jota, Bruno, and Smith Rowe. Yeah. And then Haaland and Solanke up top. Triple cap on Haaland. Means I've got a bench that includes Gibbs White and João Pedro. Means that I'm quite not happy, but I can comfortably move out Porro if I need to either one of them.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm pretty comfortable with how that's set up. The only obviously decisions is whether I start with a double Arsenal defense. I understand that the percentage chance of a clean sheet has dropped obviously versus last week, but at the same time, there's a world where Arsenal just keep them out to like 0.25 XG, and it's just an absolute nonsense game where they just basically stifle it completely. Go to their, I have no doubt that Arteta is going to go to these away games against the teams from the top 6 last year and go, look, just kill the game, just don't let them have anything, and we'll get a point and run away. And if that's the way they play and they get a goal, then that's better for them. Obviously worse for us, but so double Arsenal defense, I still feel pretty comfortable about it. Obviously, I'm benching 2 penalty takers, which feels really, really nerve wracking.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Which doesn't sound like a load of fun, but and the biggest thing obviously with Gibbs White is that he was brought in for the good first 3 fixtures as well. So I kind of just moved it forward because Fulham were okay against United. I mean, they did concede quite a few big chances to them, obviously to Bruno primarily. So,
yeah,
are Forest going to get those big chances? Are Leicester going to get those big chances? Maybe
it's just pens. The one thing I would say is obviously I thought Madison had a really good game. against Leicester. You know, obviously he knows that ground very, very well, but the 10 had a lot of freedom, and that could easily be the same on Gibbs White. I would ask on this one, because I know you long enough here, that I know that if you had Gabriel on your bench and they cleaned, you would be fuming. And I know that's how you are, because you, even when you talk about it, you only talk about the two as double defence. If you
Yeah.
don't, I've got Ryan Gabriel. You make them a.
They're two or
It's
nothing.
like
They're
they're two
all
or
as
nothing.
yeah. They're all as one. They come as a pair because
They
that's
come as a pair, and
because
and I
because
think
that's
you
how
should
you get.
separate that.
Yeah,
You
but
should
then
separate
yeah, but
that.
then you're hedging, right? And you know I hate hedging, and that's how you know.
It's not necessarily hedging. It's going, what are the best 11 players for this week? You can't do anything about the keeper. Is yours. And I'd ask yourself, if that Raya was Henderson in goal, just picture it in your mind. If it was Henderson, would you change your mind on Gabriel? And is it that Raya, because you've got to play Raya, is swaying you to think
I
I've got to
think I'd
double up
be
and I regret
I
that
think I'd
stuff?
be more likely to play Gabriel actually.
Or because you'd be worried that you didn't have a part of that
An
defence?
Arsenal defender, yeah. I think an
Okay.
Arsenal defender is almost like you
But
need to have one
therefore,
every week.
but therefore you don't lose anyway because you got Raya. Um, and whereas you
But
gain, João Pedro and Gibbs White have got like no ownership really. Like whatever they do, you smash it. Like they're your bigger gain type options. But I would try and all I would say is my it would be like tackle them into isolation and work through. Just do I like Gabriel more than Gibbs White and João Pedro? Because you can't swap Raya for them, but you can swap Gabriel for them. They don't have to be a double act. Because otherwise you're stuck with this forever. You're literally going to be every week of I've got to play him, I've got to play him, I've got to play him. And in 2 weeks' time, it's North London Derby, mate. So,
well, in 2 weeks' time, we'll find a way to get Gabriel out. It's fine.
um, but yeah, it does. It does feel difficult to me that you are benching two penalty takers. That makes me feel really scared. Um, but hey, we've already talked about it. Villa conceded what was it, 18 set piece goals last season?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a 50% chance they conceded a set piece goal this week.
And you've got Gabriel, who we didn't catch that had a shot, but from a set piece, but actually did had a header. So yeah, there's always that. There's always that opportunity as well.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, Gibbs White, João Pedro. I'm not so worried about. I don't feel
The
like I'm
only
as,
thing,
the only problem with Brighton is it's just got lots of dribbly wingers, and United have lots of slow defenders. Even Delict, if
we
he
don't,
comes in,
yeah,
slow defender.
we don't know the impact of what Jorginho will do at Brighton, but we do know that he's like a striker that wants to play 10, and he just is a 10. Really, that's why he's down as a midfielder. That's why he's down as a 5.5 midfielder, because he likes to play along the line, similar to like an Alvarez way. In the it's why he gets more assists than goals is because he's an all-round play, works really, really hard. He's kind of suits what Herzl would want for a 10. I wouldn't be surprised if Welbeck stays as the 9, as Pedro stays as the 10, Jorginho comes on at 10, and Pedro goes up top for the last 20 minutes. So I think everyone said that this is bad for Pedro minutes. It might actually be good for Pedro minutes, because you might get 70 minutes of 10 and 20 minutes of 9, as opposed to at the moment 80 odd minutes of 10.
Yeah,
He came off last game for Sarmiento. Sarmiento's not a 10. He's a left-sided player. He's a utility player. He can play left back, left wing, right back, right wing, but he's majority a flank player. Which I think Jorginho has come in to sort of replace Gross, and I think Ferguson wasn't on the bench last week, so I think Pedro. I don't think we immediately see Pedro go 9. Like, I think a lot of people have gone, oh, he's got 10 and Pedro play 9 all the time. I don't think that either. I don't think he's suited to play 90 minutes of 9 every week. But I do think he's quite well suited, a bit like Bumo used to, where it'll be 70 minutes in the hole, last 20 minutes he's up top. And we know how many points Bumo used to get playing those last 20 minutes on top, up top. Like Pedro playing 9 for the last 20 minutes if he hasn't got a penalty. Can you imagine it? It would just be feigning contact left, right, centre, doing anything
Yeah,
you can to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, fair enough. Something to think about. But would you prefer João Pedro or would you prefer Gibbs White then? Because if it's only you can only
tough,
get one
innit?
in.
It's tough. They both had one shot last week. So it's not like it that either of them have got like an overwhelming case. But they're both good picks too. You're in a really enviable position, mate. Everyone else, you've got people sitting
I'm going to
around
bench points. I'm going to bench points
Barco and
somewhere.
Konza and
Yeah, yeah,
Kunku and all this stuff. You ain't got any of them. You got bench headaches.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm going to bench some points. But do I make sure? Do I just sacrifice the potential 6-point Arsenal for the? I mean, I feel like the upside is still with Gabriel. Like I feel like the upside is still with Gabriel. I feel like the floor is higher. Just is higher.
yeah.
I want to see. Maybe I want to watch that Villa game back again and just see how threatening they were, because they were obviously playing West Ham a little bit different. I guess it's first game at home as well for the season.
Yeah. It's tough, mate.
Yeah, it's tough. But that's where we are.
That's where we
are. So
no transfers.
no transfers.
Fingers
No,
crossed.
we're definitely.
I mean, there's almost no way you're making a transfer, and it's
No.
very unlikely that I do.
Yeah, no. I think happy enough where we are at the moment. We can let it roll. 60 odd points, 65 for you, say 61 for me. So it's a good start. Haaland to come this week. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
We've got to pray, mate. We've got to pray because if we don't win this week, if we're Haaland and we don't win this week, panic.
I don't think it's panic, but I think you can just move on. You can just move on because
it's going to get twitchy.
Well, transfers will be made probably, but you have to. The thing is, you can make a transfer next week because moving Haaland to Watkins enables your double Liverpool in the future. Like you're saying, the Nkunku move this week doesn't allow you to do that, but next week you can make that move, and even if you have 6 million in the bank, right? Like it sounds like a terrible thing, but you have the money to spend the following week.
We're going to be. The only bad thing is, Haaland's had all pre-season. Haaland is saying he's fit. Did you see the quote the other day about like I'm playing niggle free, I'm there, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm like, smash it up this weekend.
You have no idea how much I want like a 6-0. I'm sorry, Ivan. I really am, but
we just literally watched Watkins play with 60 minutes where he was terribly flat, and then Duran come on and was fantastic, and I'm like, we're not there yet in 90-minute Ollie. Maybe we don't get to 90-minute Ollie. Maybe they decide that they're going to use him a little less so they can use him a bit more through the European games, the Champions League. Like Ollie's going to want to smash it up in the Champions League. It's going to be all over that. Yeah, we haven't got enough information yet, I think, to be able to say that Haaland to Watkins is going to be an easy move.
No, okay, fair enough. I'm just wondering.
Might be Haaland to Vardy by then, anyway, mate.
Oh God, we're not. I don't think we're going there, mate. To be honest, as much as you might say we might, I don't think we are.
Well, we'll leave it at that then, shall we?
Yeah, I got nothing else to say. So, good luck for game week 2, mate.
Good luck, mate. Triple Captain active.
Triple Captain, mate. It's been active since like Sunday afternoon. In fact, it was active before I left Fest. I think on Friday. It's active. It is active. It's not going anywhere. So, come on, Erling.
See you Sunday.
Cheers, man.